The moment Natalie Winslow stepped into the Atlanta Aquarium, she felt a peculiar shift in the air, like the universe was about to realign itself in ways she couldn't possibly imagine. At 34, she had accumulated more wealth than most people would see in 10 lifetimes. But the hollow echo of her designer heels against the polished floor reminded her of something her vast fortune couldn't buy: connection. She hadn't planned to visit the aquarium that Wednesday afternoon. The board meeting had ended early, and rather than return to her empty penthouse or schedule another pointless business dinner, she'd instructed her driver to drop her at the first place that might distract her from the relentless loneliness that followed her success. Natalie adjusted her Armani blazer, feeling oddly self-conscious in her formal attire amid the casual visitors. Her dark hair was pulled back in a sleek bun, emphasizing her sharp cheekbones and clear gray eyes. She looked exactly like what she was: a woman who controlled a technology empire worth billions, but controlled little else in her personal life. As she rounded the corner to the Ocean Voyager exhibit, her attention was drawn to a man kneeling beside a little girl. He couldn't have been more than 35, with sandy brown hair that fell slightly across his forehead as he bent down. His worn jeans and faded t-shirt stood in stark contrast to her tailored outfit, but it was the expression on his face that caught her eye: pure, unadulterated wonder as he pointed to a massive whale shark gliding overhead. "See that, Lily? That's the biggest fish in the whole world," he said, his voice carrying the soft cadence of genuine excitement. "And you know what? They only eat tiny little plankton, even though they're so huge." The little girl, no more than 5 years old with pigtails and a missing front tooth, giggled and clapped her hands. "Like you, Daddy. You're big but you're gentle," the man laughed, a sound so honest that Natalie found herself smiling. "I don't know about big, sweetheart, but I try to be gentle." Natalie hadn't realized she was staring until the man glanced up and caught her eye. For a brief moment, they looked at each other, his eyes a startling shade of green against her cool gray, before she quickly averted her gaze, embarrassed at being caught watching this intimate family moment. She moved along to the next exhibit, trying to focus on the colorful tropical fish, but her mind kept returning to the father and daughter. There was something about them that pulled at her, a genuineness she rarely encountered in her world of corporate sharks and merger predators. Later, at the dolphin show, Natalie found herself inadvertently seated in the row behind them. The little girl was bouncing with excitement, while her father checked what appeared to be a worn wallet, counting bills with a slight frown before tucking it away. When the show ended, and the announcer mentioned the dolphin interaction experience available for an additional fee, the little girl turned to her father with pleading eyes. "Can we, Daddy? Can we touch the dolphins?" Natalie watched as the man's face fell slightly. "Not today, Lilybug. We've got to save up for that one, okay? Maybe for your birthday." The disappointment on the child's face was fleeting. Clearly, she was used to hearing such answers, but it struck Natalie with unexpected force. Without thinking, she leaned forward. "Excuse me," she said, and the man turned, surprise registering when he recognized her from earlier. "I couldn't help overhearing. I have 2 passes for the dolphin interaction, but my colleague couldn't make it. They'll go to waste otherwise. Would your daughter like to use the second one?" The man's expression shifted from surprise to wariness. "That's very kind, but we couldn't, please," Natalie interrupted, surprising herself with the intensity of her request. "I'm Natalie Winslow. I'd hate to see it go unused, and your daughter seems so excited about the dolphins." The little girl was looking between them with wide eyes while her father seemed to be weighing his options. Natalie could see pride warring with the desire to give his daughter this experience. "I'm Grant Evans," he finally said, extending his hand. "And this is Lily." "Hi, Lily," Natalie smiled, shaking the man's hand and noting both its warmth and the calluses that spoke of manual labor. "What do you say? Want to meet some dolphins with me?" Lily looked to her father, who hesitated before nodding. "That would be very generous, thank you." 20 minutes later, Natalie found herself standing beside Grant in shallow water as a trainer guided Lily's small hand over a dolphin's sleek skin. The child's face was illuminated with a joy so pure it made Natalie's chest ache. "She's never going to forget this," Grant said quietly beside her. Thank you, really. Natalie turned to look at him and was struck again by the openness of his expression. It's my pleasure. She's a wonderful girl. She's my whole world, he replied simply, and Natalie believed him completely. As they watched Lily giggle with delight, Grant explained that he was a single father. Lily's mother had left when she was barely a year old, unable or unwilling to handle the responsibilities of parenthood. He worked as a carpenter, taking odd jobs when he could get them, but work had been scarce lately. Today was special, he admitted. I've been saving up for months to bring her here. She's obsessed with marine life. She wants to be a marine biologist. Natalie asked, recalling something Lily had enthusiastically told the dolphin trainer. Grant smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. Yes, this week at least. Last week it was an astronaut, and before that, a princess veterinarian. They both laughed, and Natalie realized it was the first genuine laugh she'd shared with anyone in a long time. After the dolphin encounter, Natalie impulsively invited them to join her for an early dinner at the aquarium's restaurant. She told herself it was simply because she didn't want to eat alone again, but the truth was more complicated. There was something about Grant's presence that made her feel grounded in a way her usual companions, sycophants and social climbers, never did. Over fish and chips, Lily insisted it was the only appropriate meal after visiting the aquarium. Natalie learned more about their lives. Grant had been raising Lily alone for 4 years. He'd previously worked for a construction company but had been laid off during a downturn. Now he did independent carpentry work, creating custom furniture when he could find clients. It's been challenging, he admitted as Lily focused on drawing sea creatures on the children's menu. But we make it work, don't we, Lily Bug? Lily nodded without looking up from her artwork. Daddy makes the best pancakes, and we have movie night every Friday with popcorn. The simplicity of their happiness touched Natalie deeply. Her own childhood had been privileged but cold boarding schools and holiday camps while her parents built their business empire, which she had later expanded tenfold. What about you? Grant asked, his green eyes curious. You mentioned colleagues. What do you do? Natalie hesitated. In her experience, revealing her wealth and status usually changed how people treated her. I work in tech, software development mainly. It wasn't a lie, though it drastically understated her position as CEO of Winslow Technologies, one of the largest software companies in the country. Grant nodded, seemingly accepting her vague answer. Lily's getting interested in computers. Her school has a basic programming class for kids. I barely understand it myself. As dinner progressed, Natalie found herself relaxing in a way she rarely did. Grant was intelligent and thoughtful, asking insightful questions about her work without the calculation she was accustomed to. Lily, with a child's natural charm, had already decided Natalie was her friend, showing her elaborate drawings of underwater kingdoms and asking serious questions about dolphin communication. When the check came, Grant reached for it, but Natalie was quicker. Please, this is my treat, she said firmly. A flash of discomfort crossed Grant's face. You've already done more than enough with the dolphin experience. Natalie understood his pride was at stake. Then consider it payment for the company. I was dreading eating alone again. After a moment, he nodded, accepting her explanation. As they walked toward the exit, Lily between them holding both their hands and occasionally swinging, Natalie felt an unfamiliar contentment settle over her. At the parking lot, they paused. Which way are you headed? Grant asked. I have a driver, Natalie admitted, gesturing toward the black Audi waiting at the curb. Can I offer you a ride home? Grant looked at the luxury vehicle, then back at Natalie with new understanding in his eyes. Just software development, huh? She smiled apologetically. It's a bit more complicated, but essentially, yes. He seemed to consider her for a moment before responding. We're fine taking the bus. It's part of our adventure day. Lily tugged on his hand. Can Natalie come on another adventure with us, Daddy? Grant looked momentarily flustered, but Natalie found herself speaking before she could reconsider. I'd like that, if it's okay with your dad. Their eyes met over Lily's head, and something unspoken passed between them, a recognition of mutual interest, tempered by the vast differences in their circumstances. Maybe. Grant said carefully, if Natalie's not too busy with her software development. There was no mockery in his tone, just gentle teasing that made her smile. Impulsively, she took out a business card and wrote her personal number on the back. Here, she said, handing it to him, for adventure planning purposes. As they said goodbye, Lily hugged her legs tightly, and Natalie felt something shift inside her, as if a piece that had long been missing had suddenly clicked into place. Watching them walk toward the bus stop, Natalie knew she should let this chance encounter remain just that a pleasant memory, nothing more. Their worlds were too different, the complications too numerous. Yet as her driver pulled away, she found herself hoping Grant would call. 3 days later, he did. Lily won't stop talking about you, he said after awkward greetings. And the dolphins, mostly the dolphins, to be honest. Natalie laughed, twirling a pen between her fingers as she sat in her expansive office overlooking the Atlanta skyline. I'm honored to be mentioned in the same breath as dolphins. She's drawn about 20 pictures of your adventure together. Our refrigerator is running out of space. His voice was warm, with an undercurrent of nervousness that matched her own. Listen, this is probably presumptuous, but would you like to join us at the park this Sunday? Lily's been asking, and, well, I'd like to see you again too. Natalie canceled a brunch meeting with investors without hesitation. I'd love to. Sunday at Piedmont Park was a revelation. Dressed down in jeans and a simple blouse clothing, she rarely wore. Natalie felt almost like a different person as she helped Lily fly a kite and laughed with Grant over sandwiches on a picnic blanket. So, Grant said as Lily ran off to the playground within their view, I Googled you. Natalie stiffened slightly. Oh, Natalie Winslow, CEO of Winslow Technologies, listed on Forbes 40 Under 40, estimated net worth. He whistled low. Let's just say it's more zeros than I'll ever see. She looked down at her hands. Does that change things? Grant was quiet for a moment, considering. It should, shouldn't it? But the thing is, the woman who spent the afternoon helping my daughter build a sandcastle doesn't seem defined by her bank account. I'm not, Natalie said softly. At least I don't want to be, he nodded, his eyes serious. For what it's worth, I'm not interested in your money, Natalie. I've always made my own way. I know, she said, and realized she truly did. In her world of transactional relationships, Grant's straightforward integrity stood out like a beacon. That Sunday led to another, and soon Natalie found herself creating space in her tightly controlled schedule for impromptu dinners at Grant's modest 2-bedroom apartment, where she learned to make pancakes under Lily's critical supervision, or weekend trips to nearby state parks where cell reception was blessedly absent. Grant's home was nothing like her minimalist penthouse with its curated art and designer furniture. His living room featured a mismatched sofa and armchair, walls covered with Lily's artwork, and shelves lined with books and small treasures they'd collected together. Yet Natalie found herself more comfortable there than in her own expensively decorated space. In Grant's workshop behind the apartment, Natalie discovered his true talent. His handcrafted furniture pieces were works of art: tables with intricate inlays, chairs with perfectly balanced proportions, cabinets with hidden compartments that delighted Lily. Why aren't you selling these for what they're worth? She asked one evening as she ran her hand over a walnut desk with subtle curves that reminded her of ocean waves. Grant shrugged, wiping sawdust from his hands. No connections to the right buyers, the galleries that would carry pieces like these. Let's just say they don't typically work with guys like me. Natalie's business mind immediately saw the potential, but she approached carefully, aware of Grant's pride. Would you consider letting me introduce your work to some people I know? His initial reluctance gave way when she framed it as a professional courtesy rather than charity. 2 weeks later, a gallery owner friend of Natalie's visited Grant's workshop and immediately offered to showcase his pieces in an upcoming exhibition of emerging artisans. As their relationship deepened, Natalie found herself learning as much from Grant as he did from her. He taught her patience and presence, the ability to fully inhabit a moment without one eye on the next meeting or opportunity. She helped him navigate the business side of his newfound success, careful to offer guidance without taking control. Their worlds began to blend, sometimes awkwardly, but often beautifully. Grant attended his first charity gala as Natalie's date, looking devastatingly handsome in a rented tuxedo and charmingly unfazed by the wealthy power players who surrounded them. Natalie joined the parent volunteers at Lily's school fair, serving punch and managing the face-painting booth with unexpected delight. 4 months after their chance meeting at the aquarium, they faced their first significant challenge. A photo of Natalie, Grant, and Lily at an ice cream shop appeared in a business tabloid under the headline "Winslow CEO's Rags to Riches Romance." The article implied Grant was using his daughter to secure Natalie's affections and fortune. Grant was furious, not for himself but for Lily. "She doesn't deserve to be dragged into this garbage," he said, pacing Natalie's living room while the offending publication lay on the coffee table. Natalie, more accustomed to media scrutiny, tried to calm him. "It'll blow over. These stories always do." "That's not the point," Grant said, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "This is your world, Natalie, not ours. I didn't sign up to have my daughter's face plastered across some gossip rag." The unspoken question hung between them. Was their relationship worth the complications it brought? For the first time, Natalie faced the possibility of losing them, and the thought left her cold. Over the past months, Grant and Lily had become essential to her happiness in ways she'd never anticipated. "What do you want to do?" she asked quietly, bracing herself for his answer. Grant stopped pacing and looked at her directly. "I want to protect my daughter, but I also—" He took a deep breath. "I also love you, Natalie. I wasn't planning on saying it like this, but there it is. I love you, and I don't want to lose what we have." Natalie felt tears prick her eyes, a rare occurrence for someone who prided herself on emotional control. "I love you too, both of you." They agreed to be more careful about public outings for a while, but neither was willing to end the relationship. Instead, they adapted more evenings at Grant's apartment or Natalie's penthouse, fewer restaurant dinners, and careful consideration of which events they attended together. The gallery exhibition of Grant's furniture was a turning point. Standing beside him as Atlanta's art community praised his craftsmanship, Natalie felt immensely proud. More importantly, she watched as Grant began to see his own worth reflected in the admiration of others. By the end of the evening, he had sold several pieces and received commissions for more. That night, after Lily had fallen asleep in the guest room of Natalie's penthouse, now decorated with underwater creatures and a bookshelf of marine biology books, Grant pulled Natalie onto the balcony overlooking the city lights. "Thank you for believing in me," he said, his voice husky with emotion. "Not just with the furniture, but with everything." Natalie leaned into him, feeling the solid strength of his arms around her. "You never needed me to succeed, Grant. You just needed the right opportunity." "Maybe," he conceded, pressing a kiss to her temple. "But you gave me something more important than business connections. You showed me it was okay to dream bigger for myself and for Lily." As their relationship approached the 1-year mark, Natalie found herself contemplating a future she'd never envisioned. Her corporate success had always been her primary focus, relationships a distant second. Now, she found herself rearranging meetings to attend Lily's school performances and working from Grant's apartment on weekends while he crafted furniture in his workshop, and Lily did homework or read beside her. For Grant's part, his business was flourishing. With Natalie's encouragement, he had hired 2 assistants and rented a proper workshop space. His furniture now sold to collectors across the country, and a high-end retailer had approached him about a limited edition line. Their worlds had found a balance, but Natalie still sensed Grant's occasional discomfort with the disparity in their financial situations. Though he never mentioned it directly, she noticed his insistence on paying his own way whenever possible and his reluctance to accept gifts that might be perceived as extravagant. On the anniversary of their meeting, Natalie arranged a surprise. She took Grant and Lily back to the Atlanta Aquarium, booking a private after-hours tour that culminated in the Ocean Voyager exhibit where they'd first noticed each other. As they stood watching the whale sharks glide overhead, Lily now 6 and even more passionate about marine life, Natalie felt a profound sense of rightness. Remember standing here a year ago? She asked Grant softly. He nodded, taking her hand. I was counting my dollars, trying to figure out if I could afford the dolphin experience without skipping groceries that week. And I was wondering why I felt so empty despite having everything I thought I wanted, Natalie replied. Lily, oblivious to their conversation, pressed her face against the glass, tracking a manta ray's graceful movement. I have something for you, Natalie said, reaching into her pocket and pulling out a small wooden box, one that Grant himself had crafted months earlier. His eyebrows rose in surprise as she handed it to him. What's this? Open it, she encouraged. Inside was a key, simple and unadorned. Grant looked at it, then at her, confusion evident. It's a key to a workshop, Natalie explained, a permanent one with living quarters upstairs. It's in your name, only no loans, no mortgage, nothing that ties it to me financially. I bought it as an investment property months ago, but it's yours now, a gift, but also a clean slate if you want it. Grant stared at the key, then back at Natalie. I don't understand. I know you've worried about the imbalance between us, she said gently. About what people might think, about whether you're enough. This is me saying that I don't care about any of that. I love you for who you are, not what you can or can't provide. And I want to remove that barrier between us once and for all. Grant was quiet for a long moment, the key heavy in his palm. Natalie, I can't accept. You can, she interrupted, because it comes with a condition. Which is, Natalie took a deep breath, heart pounding. That you'll consider making it our home, not just yours. That you'll think about us building a life together officially, understanding dawned in Grant's eyes. Are you proposing to me, Natalie Winslow? She laughed, suddenly nervous. I'm proposing the possibility. I'm saying I want forever with you and Lily, however that looks. He closed his hand around the key, then pulled her close. You know, most women would expect the man to do the proposing. When have I ever done what's expected? She countered, relief flooding through her at his teasing tone. Grant smiled, pressing his forehead against hers. Never, and that's one of the countless reasons I love you. He glanced over at Lily, still entranced by the marine life surrounding them. Hey, Lily Bug, come here a second. Lily reluctantly tore herself away from the glass and bounded over. What, Daddy? Grant knelt down to her level. How would you feel if Natalie became part of our family? Like officially, Lily's eyes widened. You mean like she'd be my mom? Natalie felt her breath catch as she knelt beside Grant. Only if you want that, Lily. I'd never try to replace your birth mother, but I do love you very much. Lily considered this with the serious contemplation only a 6-year-old can muster. Would you still help me with my science projects and make Sunday pancakes with us? Absolutely, Natalie promised, emotion thick in her throat. And would we all live together, in a house big enough for my dolphin posters and Daddy's workshop? Grant laughed. That's the plan, kiddo. Lily threw her arms around both of their necks, nearly toppling them over. Yes. Can I be the flower girl? Zoe at school was a flower girl, and she got to wear a special dress and throw petals everywhere. As they both hugged Lily, their eyes met over her head, and Natalie saw in Grant's gaze the same certainty she felt that despite all odds and differences, they had found something rare and precious in each other. Later that night, after Lily had fallen asleep recounting the evening's excitement, Grant pulled Natalie close on the sofa of her penthouse. You know, he said thoughtfully, a year ago I could barely afford to take my daughter to the aquarium. Now I'm engaged to a billionaire CEO who wants to adopt my child. Life is strange. Natalie smiled, tracing the line of his jaw with her finger. Does it bother you? My money, I mean. Grant considered the question seriously. Not anymore, because I know now it's not what defines you. Just like my lack of it doesn't define me. 6 months later, they married in a ceremony that blended their worlds, seamlessly elegant but unpretentious, with Lily proudly scattering rose petals and announcing to everyone that she now had a forever mom and dad. Their new home, a renovated warehouse with a state-of-the-art workshop for Grant and offices for Natalie, became the center of a life neither had imagined possible. Grant's furniture business continued to thrive, with a waiting list for his custom pieces that stretched months ahead. Natalie restructured her company leadership to allow for more family time, discovering that balance made her a more effective CEO, not less. 2 years after their wedding, they welcomed a son, Samuel, whom Lily adored with fierce big sister protectiveness. Family movie nights now included a toddler who rarely sat still. Pancake Sundays became even messier, and both Grant and Natalie agreed they wouldn't have it any other way. On Lily's 9th birthday, they returned to the Atlanta Aquarium, now donors with a plaque recognizing their support of marine conservation efforts. As they stood watching the whale sharks, now a family tradition, Natalie felt Grant's arm around her waist. "Did you ever imagine this would be your life?" he asked softly. "That day when you first saw us here," Natalie shook her head, watching as Lily explained something about whale-shark migration patterns to her little brother, who gazed up at her with complete adoration. "Never," she admitted. "I thought I had everything figured out: success, wealth, independence. I had no idea what I was missing." Grant pulled her closer. "For the record, I didn't imagine it either. I was just trying to give Lily a special day, counting pennies and worrying about bus schedules." They watched their children together, marveling at how a chance encounter had altered the course of all their lives so completely. "Thank you," Natalie said suddenly. "For what?" "For showing me what real wealth looks like," she replied, her eyes on their family. "It's not in bank accounts or business portfolios. It's this right here." Grant smiled, the same open, genuine smile that had first caught her attention years ago. Who would have thought a billionaire would need a struggling carpenter to teach her about true value? Natalie laughed, leaning into his embrace as Lily called for them to come see something amazing. "The universe works in mysterious ways, I suppose." "Not that mysterious," Grant countered, pressing a kiss to her temple before they moved to join their children. "Sometimes the most valuable things are right in front of us. We just need to be looking in the right direction." As they gathered together, a family created from the most unexpected beginning, Natalie knew he was right. All her life, she had been looking for success in boardrooms and balance sheets, never imagining it would find her instead in the wonder-filled eyes of a child and the steadfast heart of a father who had changed everything.